But just lingering on the topic, what to you is the good and the bad of DEI programs?
Really simple, right? D is diversity. And that means you just expand your pool of potential applicants to people who you might not otherwise have access to.
In what architecture, Mark Cuban? In what architecture? The answer is diversity as defined by the left, which means the hierarchy of intersectionalism. Race, gender, sexual identity, things that actually don't matter. True diversity is intellectual diversity.
To look where you didn't look before, to look where other people aren't looking for quality employees.
No, what it means is actually kowtowing to the leftist ideology, which has roots in Marxism, the darkest, most heinous ideology ever devised by the human mind.
Somebody, you put them in a position to succeed. The E in equity means when you hire somebody, you put them in a position to succeed.
No. E stands for equity, equality of outcome, which is a stated goal of the left-wing ideology. This is all as a result of the left-wing ideology. You can't be blind to that. You can't deny it, even if you have your head in the sand. It is so obvious that the left is pushing for this because equality of outcome is the design goal of Marxism. It's in their ideology. When Marx says you put someone in the best position to succeed, no, that's what meritocracy is. That's what capitalism does. That's what somebody who is after the profits. You want to maximally exploit someone's talents to get the highest yield possible. That's what putting somebody in their best situation to perform means. In the context of companies, that's what we're talking about. Equity, in fact, is not that. It is a perversion of that. Almost the opposite of putting somebody naturally in their most meritorious position. It's saying, wait a second, no, other elements are more important than pure meritocracy and promotion based on results. We have to consider the architecture of our ideology, being Marxism, intersectionalism, saying this person's victimized, so they deserve more of an opportunity based on things like their skin color, sexual identity, etc. So this is a willfully incompetent definition of DEI. And Mark's been getting dragged on X for the last 2 months now as a result of his stubbornness and, I'll just be honest, his low IQ responses repeatedly to being called out and corrected by people orders of magnitude more mentally capable than he is. So rather than admit that he's wrong, he's reverted to redefining the terms in such low resolution, meaningless format that they could be interpreted as anything, putting people in their best position to perform. That means nothing. What does that mean to you? To the left, which is pushing this ideology, it means adhering to the leftist ideology. DEI was birthed from Marxists.
The I inclusion is when you've hired somebody and they may not be typical, if you will.
Typical in what way, Mark? Come on, can you engage in a level 1 analysis, or can you not even get there?
Right? You show them some love and give them the support they need so they can do their job as best they can and feel comfortable.
No, I'm not interested in showing love in a company. But again, they don't even mean actual love. It's a perversity. They're talking about dogmatic adherence to the inverted intersectionalist hierarchy that replaces true virtue with counterfeit virtue. It's disgusting.
Confident going to work. It's that simple.
Confident going to work? You should be confident going to work if you're doing a good job, and if you're failing, you should not be confident.
A beautiful ideal. When it's implemented poorly, perhaps, or in a way that doesn't...
This is the reason why people say Lex Friedman has fallen off, because he's not able to get in there with a scalpel and a knife, with a really sharp blade and say, wait a second, what you just said really doesn't mean anything. You've just redefined these terms in a meaningless low-resolution format. I'm going to show you Jordan Peterson's response, and then I'll go back to the video. I want to show you what Jordan Peterson said, because in typical Peterson fashion, he just absolutely eviscerated Cuban. So for those of you who don't know, this is what Mark Cuban tweeted. I was in a group of people who were proponents of DEI, Marxist ideology. They asked me what I would do to reduce the resistance to Marxist ideology. I told them to do a search and replace all the terms of their material for equity, for equality of outcomes to equality of opportunities. Literally just lying, just changing the terms. The ideas behind the terms don't change. This is so corporate and so pathetic. I mean, this is a complete disrespect to the intellectual seriousness that any person should have, but I'm kind of shocked, to be honest. Anyway, see, the great part about X is you can have billionaires get owned by intellectuals with IQs a standard deviation higher than theirs. It's a glorious thing to see. Jordan Peterson responds, this is exactly how elite liberals think, right? He's referencing the cringe narcissism of those who think they can and should control the world, sacrificing the liberty of those they disagree with. They downplay the absolute pathology of the radical left fringe at all times. That is actually a fear of confronting objective frameworks. All of them I have met, and that's many, do the same thing. I agree with that. I've also been in very elite left-wing circles. This is exactly what they do. They think that they're better than you. For example, DEI, they really don't mean equity, they mean equality of outcome. These are different words. These are literally different words with different meanings. And for some reason, this is very bizarre. Cuban's trying to act as though they are the same terms. Again, reality is nothing more than a barrier, a roadblock to the leftist utopia, which thinks that they should be able to construct reality. Of course, this is a delusion. Mark Cuban said, imagine how people would have to be complicit, praising tyranny. Yes, Mark, try imagining exactly that. All psychologists, all social workers, all the nurses, and all the bloody butchering surgeons having to comply with tyranny. All the idiot virtue signaling, willfully blind, pandering politicians on the Democrat allying themselves with the psychopaths, narcissists, and predators. Imagine just that, and then ask yourself, could I possibly be that blind? The answer is yes, he already is that blind. This is just dunking on somebody for the education of others. And then go back to your comfortable numbness stand, wait for the next shoe to drop, as it certainly will. So back to this vid real quick.
Reach that ideal. Do you see, maybe when it's quota-based, do you see that it can result in essentially racism towards Asian?
Literally a straightforward question asked in person. Mark Cuban has been bullied over this for the last 2 months. Keep that in mind. So his response is almost certainly going to be defensive and disconnected from reality. Tinge of narcissism from the left, thinking that how dare I be questioned.
Asian people and white people, for example.
There's a lot to unpack there, right? So first, you can't do quotas. They're illegal unless you're...
Incorrect. There are literally quotas currently in multiple domains. At high-level points in companies, women get hired right in when there are deserving men below them. Same thing with people of color. The Biden administration is openly doing this. So it's in government, it's in the private sector, and it's at the pressure of companies like BlackRock and Vanguard and other massive companies that are controlled by the Marxist ideology. I'm reminded of a line in the Bible that goes something like, we wrestle not with humans, we wrestle with powers and principalities, darkness in high places. That's actually more true than people realize. The ideology is what's dangerous. The ideology grips people. It possesses people. It takes away their reasoning faculties and tells them that if they don't adhere to the ideology, they're a bad person. The ideology of the left is the most dangerous existential threat to humanity. Remember, ideas are the most durable thing there are. It's not stone, it's not buildings, it's not castles, it's not even an individual person's legacy. Ideas have proven to be the most durable thing of all time, whether that be the ideas put forth by Socrates, reason is literally defined the entire modern world, whether that be the ideas put forth by religious figures, whether that be founding principles of the Enlightenment, or ideas put forth by scientists that changed humanity forever. Ideas are the most durable thing there are. Likewise, bad ideas are the most dangerous thing that there are. If you haven't learned that from reading history of the 20th century, then you know nothing.
And I'm not the lawyer on this subject, but unless you're trying to pair something that's happened in the past, like some discrimination that's happened in the past. So it's not quota-based, and I think that's some discrimination that's happened in the past. You're trying to repair something that's happened in the past, like some discrimination that's happened in the past.
So he just contradicted himself. Blatantly, he just contradicted himself. He said, oh, there aren't quotas, but there are quotas if we're trying to rectify it literally at the altar of something that is higher, more important than reality. We discriminate in the name of compassion and inclusivity. Oh, it's so perverse. It's so perverse. They are literally saying we discriminate in the name of inclusivity. Think about that. This is what the left does. They invert reality. Guys, I'm not making this up. Pay attention. You're hearing them confess it. In the same way, they are the most hateful group of people in the world and claim to be compassionate. It's insane.
So it's not quota-based, and I think that's really just kind of a straw man that people put out there.
You just admitted. See, reality is oppressive to these people. They admit that they want to discriminate, and then they call it a straw man when you say, oh, so you want to discriminate.
Now, does that mean that there
That's
aren't
called narcissism, by the way, believing that you're above reality like that.
DEI programs that are implemented poorly? Of course not. There are everything that's implemented poorly in one company to another.
The typical, there's always exceptions argument of the moral relativists. You have to confront the problem. This guy's a coward, and we know he's a coward because at this point, after being dragged on X for months by people that are making sense. I'm not just talking about being dragged. I'm talking about being dragged by people who are making logical arguments repetitively every single day against you, and you still don't adapt. That is narcissism.
Another, right? Sales, marketing, human resources. You can pick.
God, this guy threw away his legacy so hard. It's actually crazy. Guys, subscribe to the channel. The woke mind virus is an existential threat to humanity. When Elon talks about the different ways humanity could end, this is one of those that goes unspoken. But I'm willing to say it. This is what he's thinking about, guys. This is what a lot of very intelligent, smart people are thinking about. Woke mind virus, the antithesis to reality, the hatred for objectivity, the hatred for facts and coherent frameworks as a concept, the bastardization of truth as oppression. This is the most serious battle humanity is facing in this century, and we can't run from it.